Hello, writer moms. I love being part of this group. So tonight I want to bring to you this workshop, 5 ways to crush your writing and publishing goals. Can you guys believe it is almost September? I really don't know where the year has went so far. And this is really going to be one of those workshops where it's very interactive and we're very focused on having a conversation, because I want you guys to be able to come out of this taking action. So if you're just coming in, let me know where you're tuning in from, how things are going for you, how your year has been so far. Like I said, it has just flown by for me, and that's why I really wanted to present this workshop to everyone, where we can really focus on making sure we're making the most out of these last 5 or so months of the year. Can you believe it? Oh my goodness, so little time left. But we look to that with joy as well. So let me know where you're tuning in from. I can't wait to hear more about you. And again, I want this to be a conversation, so I'm going to ask some questions. Go ahead and comment below, share with your fellow writer moms, what's going on for you. And this, again, I want you to get the most out of that, and that means take some notes, and answer the questions, and have this conversation with not just with me, but with your fellow writer moms. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started. 5 ways to crush your writing and publishing goals. We've got September, October, November, December. Oh my gosh, and we're mostly through August, so it's really just 4 months left. What can we do? And a lot of us have kids going to school. We're just getting back into the school year. My daughter just started school this week. She started pre-K, so I'm enjoying that. Seeing her learn and grow, and having a little bit more of a different schedule. But one of the first ways, if we're going to crush our writing goals, and whatever that is to you, let's talk about that. The first thing we can do is actually define what writing means to us. Okay, so what does writing mean to you? What does it mean to your life? How does it fit into your life now? And thinking about the bigger picture, where you want to go in life, how does it fit into that ideal life that you want to achieve? So I want to know below, how does that fit? How does writing fit in for you? And for example, it could be like, you just really want to publish your memoir, or you really just want to publish these stories, and a lot of times that is what it is for authors and writers, is we just feel compelled to share this really cool story we've got going on in our head, whether it's fiction or creative nonfiction or whatever it may be. And a lot of times we don't think about, well, how far do we really want to go? Is writing something you want to be a daily part of your life? Is it something that if you had all the money in the world, would you still write? So think about how writing fits into your life now and how you want it to fit into your life ideally. If tomorrow you had the life you always dreamed of, where would writing fit into that? And it's really important for us to crush our writing and publishing goals to start there. We build our foundation there in defining what writing really means to us. For me, writing, I would like to not only share these stories, I have so many stories in my head, and I really want to get them out. I want to inspire people. I want to entertain them. And eventually, I would like my stories to help me retire my husband. That is something I would love to see happen. So that's what writing means to me. Not only having the energy to inspire, to share, to entertain, and to positively impact people everywhere, anywhere around the world. That's big as well, and that's what writing means to me. So let me know below, what does writing mean to you? Now let me see if there are any comments, but yeah, what does writing mean to you, and how does it fit into your life? How would you like it to fit into your ideal life? That is that most important foundation thing that we need to know. What does it really mean to you? Do you just want to publish a couple stories and just say, I'm published, or do you want this to take care of your family? That helps us set the kind of goals that we can go after with energy, with intention, and with the right mindset. So let me know below, what does writing mean to you and how does it fit into your ideal lifestyle? So let's move on a little bit, and as you're writing those answers out, I want you to think next about defining, once you know what it means to you, the next step is defining what you want. So number 2, define what you want. What do you want from your writing? You know, how does it fit into your life? And then what do you want from it? Again, it fits into my life because I would like it to, help retire my husband or take care of my family while sharing my stories and impacting the world. But what I want, getting clear on what I really want from my authorship is not just a bestseller status. I think I'd rather have, a continuous, and it may hit that if, that's what I want, if it just aligns with what I want. But truly what I would like from it is to have the kind of continuous sales coming in that supports my family so that my husband can retire and be home with us and all that good stuff. So define what you want. What do you really want from your writing journey? And we kind of touch on this in the foundation, but really defining what writing means to you first, and then saying, what do you want from this journey? Do you want to be a bestseller? Do you want to be at least published? Do you want to be in anthologies? Do you just want to get all these stories out of your head and out into the world? What is important from you? What do you really want from this journey? Okay, so comment below. What is the one thing, if you could have anything from your writing, a result from your writing, what would it be? Would it be fame? Would it be fortune? Would it just be the pride in knowing that you were able to finish the story and get it out there into the world? So let me know below. Let me see here. All right. So let me know below what you think and how you're feeling about that. What do you really want from your journey? So, all right, number 3, what's the third thing that you can do to crush your writing and publishing goals? Well, again, it builds off all the work that we did with defining what writing means to you and your ideal lifestyle, defining what you want from your writing, and of course, once we have defined what we want from our writing, we can set those goals. So if you say you want to be, selling 300 copies a month or something like that, or you want it to retire a husband like me, then you can say, okay, so overall my goal is to be selling enough copies to, retire my husband, which is how many copies a month, and then that's your overall goal. So what do you need to do in the next year to put yourself on a path to getting there? What does that look like? So for me, I know that I need to start a series. I need to plot out my series, and of course leave that open-ended, but I need to plot out those books. And then because I know that series perform well, then I say, okay, so I'm going to plot out the series. Once I have so many books plotted out, then I can go ahead and I can start writing them. And I'm pretty good at outlining, so that makes the writing process a lot faster. So for me, my 12 months is getting those stories written and plotted out, the series plotted out, and those stories in that series written so that they're ready to go. And then in 6 months, in order to get to that 12-month point, what do I need to be doing in the 6 months? In the 6 months ahead. So 6 months, I need to have written at least half of those stories. I need to definitely be plotted out, but we draw back from there and say, okay, so in the next 90 days, and this is what I feel is the most effective. We definitely come back from that overall goal in stages, and I don't do 10 years, I don't do 5 years, because success really, getting to your vision of success is really dependent on the work that you're doing. So it could be 2 years to your success, or it could be 10 years to your vision of success. And especially if you have that if you don't have that defined, that can continue to change. So it really does help to define what your vision of success is. So anyway, but 3 months or 90 days, that is really where effective goal setting happens. So what needs to happen in 90 days for to get those things started? So in 90 days, I definitely need to have my series plotted out, and I have to have at least what, 2 to 3 stories outlined, we'll say, for example. So I know that I'll have to have those stories outlined. I'll have to have the series plotted out within 90 days. So then I can say, okay, well, if I have all this work to do, now 30 days, what do I have to do in the next 30 days to make sure that I'm on track to reach that 90-day milestone? And I don't mean goals as some kind of airy thing. It has to be, and again, something achievable. I'm not going to get too cliche or old-fashioned here. I'm not talking necessarily SMART goals. I'm just talking achievable goals, and in that way, I mean more tasks or milestones. So I would need to hit in 30 days the milestone of having the series plotted out. And then the next 30 days could be plot out 2 stories, and then the 30 days after that, plot out 2 more stories. And that would give me my series plotted out, and it would give me 4 stories outlined. So then I would definitely reach or exceed my 90-day goal. But you really have to have that overall, what can I do in a year to get there? What can I do in 6 months to hit that 1-year milestone, 90 days, 30 days? And you really don't have to break down past that. But in 30 days, knowing what you have to do to hit that 90-day goal, that is one of the most effective ways to goal set and then achieve your goals, because you know what you have to do and when you have to do it, or when you should do it by. And one thing that I use is target completion dates. So this is from my military side. I was in the Army, and we have kind of this more we achieve objectives. And so I like approaching goal setting that way, because we can achieve objectives better than goals in pop culture, or something like I want to be thinner, or I would like to live in a different house, or something like that. It can be these really non-tangible or non-measurable things, and if we can't measure it, we can't track our progress toward it, and we can't really define the things that are going to make us get there. So what is going to make you get there? So what's for you, real quick, what could you do in the next 30 days to help that would move the needle forward to reaching your overall goal? Do you know right now what you have to do? And while you guys are thinking about that, because again, we're actually still in defining what you want, I would love to show you something about how we can do this. So let me know below if you know what you need to do. So I have this beautiful little planner, and I'll show you the front. This is my favorite version right here. It says the Ultimate Authorship Planner, and sorry it's reversed, but it was a little difficult to get this turned around. But we have this great section in the front that is all about defining your goals. And you start at the bottom. So what is this overall goal? And then you say, okay, what steps can I take to get to that goal? It's almost like reverse engineering, kind of like, coming back from that overall goal to the 12 months, etc. But we're saying, okay, what is that end goal? And then start back up in top. Say, what's the first thing I can do? Write that down. And again, you can write this down on paper right now if you're following along. If you don't already have a planner, you can just use notebook paper. But the most important thing is say, here's my end goal, and here are the steps that I can take one by one to get there. So when you really start thinking of this out, this allows you to fill in those dates. So when can I reach this milestone? And this gives you that power. It empowers you to say, in 90 days, I can achieve so much. So there's a lot of programs out there, really high-priced programs, to coach you into, reaching your 90-day goals. And they found that it really is super effective, but you don't need some big coaching program. The real secret is just saying, what is my overall goal? Define what you want, and then say, okay, what are the steps that it's going to take to get there, and when can I complete them by? So like I said, if in 6 months I want to have so many stories written, and I want to have hi Autumn, I see you. But if you want, if I want to have so many stories written, I want to have the whole series plotted out, then what has to happen within 12 months, 6 months, 3 months? What do I need to do this month? That is very powerful. And you can say, okay, this month I need to plot out my series. I know that's a big step that successful authors use, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to plot out a series as far as I can, and then I'm going to start outlining my stories next month, and the month after that I'll outline some more stories so that I'm ready to go with writing them. But that's just, an example of how you can say my overall goal is, so what I need to do right now to move the needle forward is X, Y, and Z. So what can you do? Again, comment below, what can you do in the next 30 days to move the needle forward toward what you really want from your writing? Again, it could just be to publish, to say, yes, I am a published author. Or it could be to say, hey, I want to be on track to becoming a best-selling author. I want to be a 7-figure, or if you're like H.M. Ward, you want to be an 8-figure author. That would be pretty awesome too. But, define what you really want from your writing and then set your goals based on that. Again, don't do 5 years or 10 years. Just do 12 months and then work backward from there. But defining your goals is really about, after you've done that work, saying, what can I do right now? And what can I do after that? Just identify step by step, and it's okay to not know all the steps right now. Nobody can see the future, and that's why it's so scary, is because we're starting out, or whenever we're at the beginning of some new venture, or even in the middle of it, we just don't know what's gonna happen next, and that's okay. It's scary, but it's totally okay. So face that not knowing with courage. Know that all you have to do is keep taking the next step forward. The steps will come to you, but write out as best you know right now what steps you do need to take. So when do you need to start looking at a cover if you want to publish a book in December? When do you need to reach out to cover artists? Is your manuscript finished, or do you still need to find an editor? What are these different things that still need to happen if you're going to publish by December or January or whatever your date is? There's going to be a lot of steps in between that you need to lay out. So that's why I really like having something like this, where we are talking about defining our goals and then mapping out those steps. So another thing to do is, once you have decided on what your top 3 goals are, that for the 12 months, then you can come back a little bit and lay that out and take a big calendar, just sketch it out on a notebook if you have to. But what does that look like month by month? And you can start today. So say for the rest of August, even though we don't have that much time, I can do this. I can do this in September. What things need to happen when? So we take those goals that we just laid out, and the tasks or the milestones in each, and we put them in a section like this. So month by month, and this is an undated version of my planner, but month by month, you lay out what needs to happen each month. So if you want to publish in December, maybe your editing needs to be done by September, so your beta readers can catch it in October, and you can be working with your, finding your cover illustrator in October while it's out to betas. So there's so many different things that are happening. It really helps you stay on track and actually achieve things when you have them mapped up and you say, okay, October's here, now I need to send it out to betas, or now I need to talk to a cover illustrator. Does anybody know here what you need to do tomorrow? We're gonna draw it back just a little bit closer to right now in the immediacy. What are you going to do tomorrow that moves the needle forward to your goal? I would love to know your comments. Let me see, make sure I'm not missing any comments here. There we go. So definitely right below, what are you going to do tomorrow in order to move the needle forward? So I will love to see that and share it with you guys. Again, I want this to be very conversational because we can learn so much from each other, and we're here to support each other, right, writer moms? So it's really an interesting thing to be in this kind of position as a mother, having so many roles as so many women normally do, but having this on top of it and then saying, I need to write, So just to recap real quick, we talked about the first way to crush your writing goals is to really define what writing means to you. The second way is to define what you want from your writing and then set your goals based on that. So the third thing you can do, we'll move on. Hopefully you guys are following along in your notebook and stuff like that. But the third thing you can do that is really, really powerful is start tracking your time. Once you know your goals and you kind of have an idea of what needs to happen and when, month by month, then you can start tracking your time for 1 week. You can use an app like Toggle, Toggl for Android, or you can use a tracker, just a tracker for iOS. You can use a tracker for iOS, but it allows you to set categories and set a timer when you're doing something. And then for just 1 week, track your time doing everything except sleeping. You can, track your time sleeping pretty easily. Just keep track of that too. And you may find you're not actually sleeping enough, or hopefully you have like a Fitbit or something that helps you keep track of that as well. But start tracking your time during your day hours and see how much time you're spending on different activities. Now, the first time I did this, I was working with this amazing business coach, Jessica Rodriguez, and I went ahead through a free challenge and she recommended this, and I said, okay, I'll do this. And I couldn't believe it. I had spent something ridiculous, like 27 hours that week cleaning. And I was like, oh my God, that is unacceptable. How many hours is that in a month? How many hours is that in a year? That's too much time for me to be spending cleaning. So it allowed me that insight to say, hey, I need to do things to adjust my schedule. Of course, I did pick up the Fly Lady method, if anybody's heard of that, which is like 15-minute sprints of cleaning. So you're not doing it all the time, but you can still keep things tidy. So that was really, really helpful to know, like, I'm saying I don't have time for writing, but I'm spending all this other time doing stuff around the house that I must be doing in an inefficient way. And I really love identifying, and maybe I'm just a geek like that, but I really love identifying areas where I need to improve. I don't have as much of the ego about it. I think many of us women are able to say, okay, there's an area I need to improve. I'm willing to hear that and do that. And so tracking your time is going to allow you to say, hey, is the time that I'm spending on all of these different activities aligning with what I say that my goals are and what I want for my writing and how writing fits into my life? So if you're spending, if you spend 27 hours a week on cleaning, but then you only spend 2 hours a week on writing, then that doesn't align, right? And we all know we need to clean. As many of us, we are the ones who do most of the cleaning in the house. So that's just part of the package or part of life for us. But we can see, hey, if I make this more efficient or I set up time blocks to do it, I would have more time for writing or marketing or querying agents or whatever it is that you need to do to hit that writing goal. So this is something that has dramatically changed my ability to crush my own goals. And so that's why I was so excited to bring this tip to you guys as well. I mean, tracking my time for an entire week was annoying and tedious, but it was priceless in the end. That kind of insight allowed me to open my mind to saying, hey, maybe I need some help, and asking for help around the house. Thankfully, my kids are 3 and 4 now, and they, at least at this stage, they love helping mommy, so I can get them to help out a little more. They just, love trying to help. Their sweeping doesn't do anything, but it's really cute. But, I can ask my husband, like, hey, could you do this thing? Or I can say, you know what, maybe instead of spending all that time meal prepping, I can spend a little bit of time, like 15 minutes, looking for meals that are still nutritious, but they take less time to prep, because I was spending a lot of time on food prep too, which again, I'd rather be writing. That's how what writing means to me. It's something that I have to be doing. I have to be getting these stories out of my head. I have to be, taking all this inspiration I get from the world around me and sharing it with readers to help inspire them. So that's what writing means to me. And when I was able to see how much time I was spending on activities that didn't move me toward my goal, it was mind-blowing. And I was upset with myself. I was like, I can't believe I never realized how much time I was spending on activities that didn't fill me with joy. So I encourage you, get those apps. Get Toggle, Toggl for Android, or you can get A Tracker for iOS, and they have A Tracker and A Tracker Pro, but A Tracker, just the A Tracker is free. It has limited categories, but you can kind of split things up. So one thing we can do when we're tracking our time is think about the top 4 priorities in your life. And normally it falls out with a couple of them like this, and this might be true for you too. One should always be self-care, because if we don't take care of ourselves, I'm sure you guys know this, it's really hard for us to take care of other people too. So make sure that one of your priorities, and I'm going to explain why we need 4, but one of your priorities should be you, okay? So another is typically family. So this includes time with the husband, it includes time with your children, it includes your meal prep and your house cleaning. That's how I do it. So all these tasks can fall under the category of family. When I'm doing household work, or I'm cooking food, or taking the kids to school, taking my daughter to school, that all counts as family time for me under the family priority. Then another one is work or business. Some people work from home. Some people have a job away from home, and so that's typically a 3rd priority. And it can be different from you. Comment below if it is different from you or for you. But then, of course, that 4th priority for people who are really passionate about storytelling, that 4th priority is writing. And writing can include writing that first draft, querying agents, doing research, reading about craft, reading books in your genre, doing cover research. It can include all the things that are going to make you or get you to that goal of what you want from your writing. So be sure to think about that. But having those top 4 priorities, not 5, not 6, that also allows you to crush your goals, because it keeps you very focused on what you want from life. It makes you sit down and think, what do I really want from my life? What do I want to pursue with my life? And it gets deep here, but I don't think we should do anything that isn't deep and isn't powerful. And if it's profound, I hope it's profound in the most positive way. And that is, I want everyone to have that power within themselves, or be empowered to say, am I doing the things that will give me the life that I really want? Am I doing the things that'll bring me the most joy? So that's again why we have to say, we have to define what we want, or how writing fits into our life and what we want from writing. So track your time, develop your top 4 priorities. And another reason is, I am multi-passionate. So many of us are multi-passionate, especially as creatives. So I am not much of an artist, but I do love music, and I actually have 2 guitars, and I just don't have time for that. For my top 4 priorities are self, family, writing, and I have school too. So writing and business, kind of, because I do fiction and nonfiction. So, but I also have school. I am pursuing my master's degree, condensed courses, double time, so it takes a lot out of me. So when I say, God, I'd love to pick up guitar, but I have all these other things that really made the cut, is being more important than that. When my MA is finished, will I pick up guitar? I'll have to see what my priorities are then. I have to weigh it and say, is this really the thing that's going to bring me the most joy? I think writing more for me would bring me more joy. As much as I like to play every now and then, it's not something that, I think is going to bring me the most joy or, really fit into my life the way that writing can. I also, this is weird, and hopefully some of you can relate. Tell me, does anybody here knit or crochet? Because it's kind of old-fashioned, but I actually really love crocheting. So, but again, it's one of those things where I had to say, I love the things I can create. I love creating things with my hands, but this is time. I could be getting like all these words out. I could be, polishing a manuscript. I could be getting all these story ideas out of my head and onto paper. And that feels so much better for me personally, than finishing a scarf or finishing a baby blanket, as cute as they are. And I'm glad I was able to do some. I really want to write. It's my passion. And, if you're in here, it's your passion too. So do any of my priorities include crocheting or playing guitar or learning Italian, which is, my next thing that I really want to do? No, not right now. I have other things that take priority, so that every day, if God forbid something happened, I could say, I am pursuing the life of my dreams. I am actively in the pursuit of creating the life that I want. So getting the most out of my writing, saying, hey, I have this writing goal, and I'm actively doing things every day and making choices and living intentionally in a way that's going to get me towards those goals. So start tracking, develop your top 4 priorities, and tell me, what are your top 4 priorities? Is it hopefully self? You got to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. Self, family, writing, and what's your 4th? I would definitely love to know. And again, you can fit different things under different categories, right? Like date night. Date night goes under family time, okay? So it's not like some strict thing where it's only one task per priority. A lot of different things fall under those priorities. So the next thing, number 4, the 4th thing that you can do to crush your writing and publishing goals, that is limiting distractions. And it's exactly what I was just talking about. So once we identify those top 4 priorities, not 5, not 6, just 4. Once we have defined those priorities, we can say, do I want to play guitar, or do I want to finish this manuscript? Do I want to play guitar, or do I have a goal to send out 3 queries this week? How many queries am I going to send out this week? And if I pick up guitar right now, is that at least going to be after those things are done first? So we have to prioritize. And if I said, okay, well, my New Year's resolution, I don't like resolutions, I like plans, but let's play along. So if my resolution was to play guitar for 30 minutes every day, that would be pretty hard to keep up if that's not in my top priorities. And it would really mess up, me reaching my goals. So we have to put the things first that align with the life that we say we want. And if that life that you said you want, if you're thinking about it and you're going through like, maybe that's not actually what I want, that's okay. Your goals can evolve. The things that you want and what you want out of your writing, that can evolve as you change, as your life changes, as life is constantly in motion. And as it is, you let it evolve. So Lindsay, let me know if you can hear me all right, if everything is good on that end, just to make sure. All right, so, but limit those distractions, those extra hobbies we have. You can actually, I really do want to make this distinction. There is a difference between extra hobbies and self-care. So one example is if crocheting or knitting or painting or something like that really calms you down, you find it very soothing, then that can count as self-care. I actually love those adult coloring books, so that's something I can do for self-care because for some reason I find it really calming and really cathartic, So that coloring book, for me, I'm actually, to raise that geek level, I am a gamer, so I will love to sit down, and for my self-care, I will take, half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour if I can sneak it in. Then, on a crazy Saturday night, I will play my video game, and I'll feel so much better afterwards. So I know that for me, not that gaming is a priority. I don't want to do anything with it. I don't want to be a pro gamer or anything, but I really do find it soothing, and it's part of my self-care. So that's one of the ways that I make sure I have the energy that I need to keep on going and to keep working towards my goals. It's my little breather, my little creative re-energizer, because I play Skyrim. If anybody knows that, wave a hand. So I play Skyrim, and I love to write fantasy and read fantasy, so for me, that's really inspiring. It helps get my creative juices going. So limit those distractions, but be sure that you're defining what's a distraction and or extra hobby, and what's legitimate self-care. Okay, so, and on that note, real quick, another thing that really changed things for me was when I realized how much time I was spending on the housework. I not only changed my method for how I approach the housework, but I also actually went ahead. It was scary, and I ended up hiring someone to come in on a trial basis to, come, and while the kids were napping, she would clean. Because normally when they would nap, and they're just 12 months apart, when they would nap, I would end up spending all this time cleaning and say, well, I don't have time to write. I don't have time to, work on sales or anything like that. It would end up being this, I don't have time. So I had to change that story. I do have time. It's just about how I choose to use it. And for her to come in, it was $15 an hour. So for 3 hours, it was $45. And she, she's wonderful. This is what she does. And she needed the work. So I was like, well, yeah, let's do this and let's figure this out. So that trial basis, I couldn't believe how much I got done in 3 hours while they were napping and someone else was cleaning, because I struggled to concentrate if things were messy. So the gap there, what ended up being the solution, was saying, okay, I'm gonna take a risk or jump and do something I'd never done before, and I'm gonna have 45 of my dollars go to someone else who wants to work, and have her do the tidying up while I write. And I couldn't believe it. I was so relaxed. I was so energized, and she was so excited about being here that, oh my goodness, it was just magical. It was really wonderful. So, if you need help around the house and it's not something you can ask the kids to do, or to ask your spouse to do, or to help pick up a little bit, then consider hiring someone in your area. Of course, it's always going to be scary. You never know who's coming to your house. Not to be the paranoid person, but I am. I am a little bit paranoid. But she's, been a friend now for years, and I'm so glad I did, and it's just actually turned out really great. So take that chance and give yourself a break. Sometimes I think that $45, which is something we would spend on a trip to Target, let's be real, okay? That trip for one thing turns into a cart full of stuff at Target. And that could be something, instead of doing that, which I'm guilty of too, I would rather have someone else come in, someone who needs the work, and take care of tidying up the house so that I feel relaxed enough to write and to get my mojo back and to, make the time for what really matters to me. So again, a lot of this gets deep. A lot of these ways to crush our goals get deep. You have to dig deep and say, this is what I really want. But there's nothing bad that can come from that, from getting that deep work done and saying, hey, yes, the life I want is, means that I need to make choices about how I'm spending my time. Am I going to keep spending 3 hours every day tidying up the house and getting all the laundry and dishes and whatever else done? Or am I going to say, nope, we're going to save a little bit of money aside, so maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever it has to be, I can get out and write, or I can just go upstairs and write. I have a desk upstairs. and I will go up there and write. So, it can be really powerful for me. I will, and I'm not being dramatic, it was like life-changing for me to realize that I had a choice. I did have the time, and there was someone out there who could help me. And we don't have to be superwoman all the time. It's pretty typical of moms and women in general to want to be superwoman and to want to handle everything ourselves and be everybody's savior and be everything to everyone. But guess what? We need to take care of you too. And if you're anything like me, we need to write. We're compelled. We have this great fire in us burning and saying, get this story down on paper. So I want to see you get those stories down. I want to see you get those stories out into the world. Share your story, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whatever you're doing. I want you to share your stories. So we have to get really deliberate about our time and try new things. So if something isn't working in your schedule, that's giving you the time to move the needle forward towards your goal, think about the solutions, the potential solutions there, and how you can make that happen. Me, I want to invite my niece over to the house because she loves playing with my kids. So I'm thinking Thanksgiving breaks, she could come and she can play with the kids, and I can have more time to write, and they can be entertaining. They can have lots of fun with their aunt, who they love, because I live far away from my family, so I don't get to see them often. So but anyway, there are different ways we can come up with solutions so that we can make the time. We feel, especially with so many obligations, that we don't have the time. But careful how much you say that to yourself, because the more you say it, the more you believe it, and the more you lose hope or faith. And I don't want you to lose hope or faith. I want you to be able to go with energy. We don't feel motivated every day, but we can, with discipline, force ourselves to be motivated, and we can force ourselves to keep going even on the bad days. Even when it feels like nothing's going right, if you keep moving forward, everything else is going to align and fall into place. So anyway, let's move on to number 5. Okay, the 5th way that you can crush your writing and publishing goals, and especially before December. These are all things that you can do now. You can start this week. So you can start today, do your, stuff for the rest of the week, your tracking. But this is all stuff to help you accomplish goals even before December. If you're anything like me, I kind of want to take December off because it's just family stuff. It's so much family stuff. But, whatever your life looks like, there's so much you can accomplish even next week, next month, and before the end of the year. How close can you get to your goal? What would make you, and that's a challenge I'd like to give you guys right now. If you could do, or accomplish anything, what one thing would you be able to look back at on December 31st and say, I feel so accomplished because I achieved this one thing, or I did this one thing? What would that one thing be? For me, I really just want to publish my collection of short stories. That would make me feel incredibly accomplished. So I would feel great if I could publish that with some great cover art and, of course, great editing. But let me know, what is the one thing that would make you feel most accomplished if you completed it by the end of the year? And you can. So write that down. I want to see it. I can't wait to hear what's going to make you feel most accomplished. And there's power in sharing it with others. There's that deeper commitment you get when you have to say it out loud, or in this case, type it out loud in front of everybody. But no one's going to knock down your goal. Everyone is here to support you. So anyway, let's go on to the 5th thing you can do. And this gets less deep, so it doesn't have to profoundly impact your way you think about your writing, the way you think about your life, and things like that. But this is a little bit more technical, and this is actually one of my favorite parts. So and I have an example from my own planner to kind of give you what it looks like. But the 5th way you can crush your writing publishing goals is to build a weekly schedule and experiment with it. So what that means is saying, after you've tracked your time, again, you have to track your time first so you can get an idea of where you can trim things or where you can get greater efficiencies. But the next thing you can do is you can look out and say, okay, I know that this month I have these appointments. I know that during the week I normally go shopping at this time, or during the morning I have to get the kids up and get them ready and get them to school during this time block. But all the other time blocks, have you tried not just filling them, but saying, okay, for 50 minutes during this hour, I'm going to work on my manuscript. I'm going to write for sure. And it could just be 50 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, whatever it is, but work with time blocks. Now, time blocks is another thing that has profoundly impacted my ability to crush my goals. And so I really love sharing this, but I will say, for example, this is what my Friday is going to look like. And I don't have the best handwriting, but it's backwards anyway, so maybe it'll look prettier backwards. But for me, Friday is going to be, I'm going to have someone come and watch the kids for me for a few hours so that I can get some things done. And again, like I said, I'm pursuing my master's degree, condensed courses, double time. So my schedule for Friday, this is how I fill in my time blocks. So as you can see, Friday there, it says housework, but I already got everything done all this week. So 501 forums, and then it just says 501 because I know all that day I have a really big paper due this weekend. So that's what I'm going to be doing on Friday during those time blocks. And then some of those early time blocks are dedicated to housework. But if my housework's done early, which it is, that means I can do other stuff. I can do my fiction writing, or I can get a head start on the homework because the sooner that's done. But you know what I mean? So the time blocks are there, but they are flexible. That's the big difference between having your time blocked off in a weekly planner and then having a to-do list. A to-do list keeps growing, but a schedule, having that weekly calendar, forces you to prioritize what is most important. And one thing I did in this planner is I created this block down at the bottom. It says daily priority. And excuse my terrible nail polish. I didn't get a chance to fix it today. But every day has a block for your daily priority. So I know on Saturday or something, my priority is writing. Writing my fiction. Or on Sunday, my priority is family and finishing up my assignments or anything I have to do for classes. But my daily priority on Sundays typically is family. So that's what I know, that I have to be intentional about my time. I know that I wonder who it was, but one celebrity, I was watching something he's saying, and he said whenever he's with his kids, he gives them his undivided attention because he doesn't want them to ever feel like they're blurry. And I was like, that is like the greatest analogy. I don't want my kids to feel like they don't get my attention. So I do block off time for family stuff. I had early in the week where I take my kids to the park. That's in my time block, 2 hours to take the kids to the park before my daughter started school. So we can have those time blocks that aren't just trying to pack our schedule, but they are flexible. I know some days I have to go grocery shopping, and this is the day I can do it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't think my produce, like my salad greens or my proteins, last more than 3 days. So, I have to go to the grocery store just to get those little things. But anyway, so I know a couple times a week I have to go grocery shopping, and I can plan that out based on the last time I went grocery shopping and keeping my list and doing mom stuff, right? So it's not about just filling in all the blocks with something to do. It's saying, I want to be intentional about my time, and I have big goals, I have big dreams, and the only way to achieve them is to say, during this time block, I am not going to get on Netflix. I'm not going to get on social media. My 12 o'clock, that's 12 to 12:30. Check messages, check notifications on Facebook, and then get off and do something productive, right? So if anybody has, struggles with Facebook, as much as, we love our groups and everything, give yourself time to check in. Like, this should be a self-care thing. Being in Writer Moms should be considered part of your self-care routine. So come in here, talk to other writer moms, and have those conversations with people. But you can have that in a time block and say, what's the best time of day for me to do that? Should I start my day with being around these other awesome people and see what they were talking about yesterday, or later in the day, catch up? But whatever it is, you don't have to be on social media all the time. You can have, little time blocks set aside. And I just use my phone. I say, hey, SIRI, set a timer for this many minutes, and then that way I don't overshoot it. Or if it's an important message, I can just extend my time and know that it's worth it. But typically I can check all my email, respond to my email, check my notifications and my messages within 30 minutes. So I would challenge you to see how long, and set a timer. Maybe not, set a stopwatch. Use a stopwatch and see how long it takes you to check all your notifications, check your messages, and check your email. And then turn it off. And one thing you can do if you get distracted on Facebook is you can, if you're on Chrome, there's an extension called News Feed Eradicator that you can add to Chrome, which means you don't see your news feed on your desktop. So if I want to scroll the feed, I go on my phone, but I get tired of that really quick. For some reason, I'm just not big on mobile for Facebook. I check it for emergencies. But on the desktop, I have no news feed, so I can't get sucked into the constant scroll where you lose so much time. I don't want people to have said to me, oh, she scrolled Facebook so much. That's not something I'm going for. You know what I mean? So absolutely, definitely would love to hear what you guys think. And where do you think right now, where do you think you lose time? Is it in Facebook or Twitter? Or where do you think there's some kind of time suck that you might be able to solve if you can identify it? Sometimes we know ahead of time, hey, I'm spending too much time doing this, or I'm binging. One of my friends binged, I think it was Gilmore Girls, and I was already in a space where I was just like, my writing is really important to me, and these other things are really important to me, so I can't get into it. So I've never seen, and you guys don't hate me, but I have never seen Gilmore Girls, but it's, it's just something where I had to say, what's most important to me? And that doesn't mean I don't watch TV. I'm not trying to be some like holier than thou person. No, I mean, there were certain things I watched, but it's so much harder to binge when I look at my schedule and say, oh, in 5 days, I'm supposed to hit the 40,000 word mark. Okay, I need to get to work because we can watch TV later, or, you know what I mean? So sometimes we need it for self-care, but sometimes we're kind of overindulging. And I know that's common, and, it's just something where it's really easy to do with good television. So, be careful about that, but look at your schedule and say, what can I do? How can I set up my schedule this week so I can make things more efficient? Maybe for me, it's do housework in the morning, after I've sent my daughter to school, and then in the afternoon, I start doing my computer work. And then on certain days, I do homework because I know I'm a pretty fast writer. I can do my essays, I can do my forums, I can do those things on the day that they're due. So I can actually, respond to other people's things and whatever I have to do. But so Thursdays, that day is dedicated to one of my classes. Friday is dedicated to the other class. So I know what days I have to do things. And this hasn't come easy. It didn't come immediately. I had to, and I still do, like Saturday or Sunday, I set up my schedule for the coming week. And I say, okay, I know what I have due. I know where my appointments are. I know when I have to take my daughter to school, when I have to pick her up. I know what holidays are coming. So I can build a schedule around those things that is efficient about all the flexible stuff. Housework is flexible stuff. The writing, that's flexible. Checking messages and checking social media, that's really flexible. You can choose when to do those things and to, order them in a way that gives you the maximum time to reach your writing goals. Again, and it doesn't really take that long. I don't know, I have a lot of fun with it. I love setting up my week, and things kind of got messed up because we had some flooding here, so there were some delays for school, but it was really empowering knowing that even if things shifted because of that, I was already ahead of things because of the way I set up my schedule. So anyway, so go ahead and look at your 30-day goals and say, and look at your week. Hopefully, if you have a planner, this is called the Ultimate Authorship Planner if you're interested. But if you have some kind of planner, or even just use your notebook, you can schedule out your week. Sketch it out from Monday to Sunday, and give yourself just the time you're awake, your waking hours, that kind of thing. And say, what am I doing during these 1 hour time blocks? And again, if something doesn't take a whole hour, that's okay, because that gives you flex time in case life happens, because it does. So life happens, but sketch things out. Sketch out when you normally, make dinner, when you do your meal prep, when you work out, doing your self-care. Find out how you can honor those top 4 priorities in your life. So I would really love to see, what do you think you can do with your schedule? What do you think you can do with your time to make sure that you are crushing your writing and publishing goals? And I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm guessing that it must be something on my end where I'm just not seeing comments. But sometimes that happens with Facebook. So I'm sorry if I can't see your comments, but I will definitely go back afterward and respond to each one. So don't worry. And thank you guys so much for being here and watching. But definitely the big thing is, give this stuff a shot. This is stuff that is all tested and proven. This is stuff that I said, this is so powerful, I have to share it. I have to share it with as many people as possible, especially creatives like myself, especially multi-passionate people like me, because we can get caught up in all the things that we want to do that we never really get good at any one thing, or we never really accomplish mastery. And as a writer, the big hard thing that we typically need to accomplish is finishing that first draft, and then getting to through the whole scary process of publishing, whether you're self-publishing or you're doing the traditional route or you're doing hybrid. There's a lot to it, and if we're not clear on what we want, we can really get sidetracked or lose faith or lose momentum. And I don't want your energy for what you want from your writing to come only in spurts. I want it to be something that is with you more often than not, because that can be our fire, our fuel for life, and it can affect the way we move in life, and I want you to be positively impacted by this. So let's go ahead and recap. So the first thing you can do to crush your writing goals is define how writing fits into your life now and how you want it to fit in your life in the future and in your ideal life. Well, how would writing fit into your ideal life? Number 2, define what you want from your writing. So this is like saying, okay, I want to publish these stories. I don't care if I make money. Or you can say, hey, I want to make a nominal, I want to bring in a little money to support, supplement the family income. Or you can say hey, I want to be a 7-figure earner, a 6-figure earner, and I want to retire my husband. Define what you want from your writing, because this is going to help you really set effective goals again. And then set your goals in 1 year, and then break them down from there, what has to be done in what month, so you can say, okay, in the next 30 days, this is what I need to accomplish. And that's going to allow you to set up a great schedule for your weeks. So here's my August overview, for example. I have all of my assignment due dates. I have my daughter starting school. I have, the doctor's appointment, the dentist appointments, things like that. So that way I can schedule around that stuff. I have my assignments in there. So it really does manage my whole life, even though it's the Ultimate Authorship Planner. But I fill out that monthly overview first, keeping in mind what I said that month's priority was, because I have it all written down. But I know what priority goes for that month. So I can say, okay, I know my priorities this month. I know I have these other things. I have life going on, but I'm going to take all those things and I'm going to fill in that weekly schedule with the life things. And then I'm going to see how I can work in my writing. How can I work in my goals? How can I make sure that this week doesn't pass without me getting something done, without me taking the next step, without me saying, okay, the manuscript is finished. Now it's time to contact the editor or start evaluating editors. Whatever you need to do, it's really important that have that overview and say, this month I need to do X. That's the most important thing for me to do. So what is your X? What is the most important thing you can do? So anyway, so once you've set those goals and you can break that down, and again, that's just really, really the most effective and empowering goal setting. That third thing you could do to crush your writing and publishing goals is to start tracking your time. And this isn't something you have to do every week. I want to make that clear. Track your time for 1 week, just 1 week. Okay, track your time. Again, it gives you that insight. This is something that I don't do every week, but once every 5 or 6 months or so, I will stop and track my time if I'm like, I'm losing time somewhere, or I'm not having enough time to do all the things I set out to do. And again, I don't like to overload my schedule as much as it would appear that I do, but I do have certain things set up. So if I'm not getting all of my stuff done, and I know my own behavior patterns, I can say, okay, there's something wrong with my time and how I'm spending it, so I will track my time for a week. And again, that opens me up to analyze and say, okay, I see the problem and now I can fix it. Because if we don't know what the problem is or where we're losing our time, we can't fix it. So make sure you are tracking your time. And the fourth thing we can do to make sure we are crushing our writing and publishing goals is to limit our distractions. So those extra hobbies, define whether or not they're just extra or whether they're actually self-care. So if you have too many things that are self-care and that starts taking up more of your time than writing, that's an extra hobby. And finally, the fifth thing we can do to crush our writing and publishing goals is to build a weekly schedule, block by block, hour by hour, for your waking hours, and then experiment with it. Like I said, every new week before it comes, I write out my schedule because I know this is the thing I really want to do this week. This is the thing that I really want to accomplish. This is my priority, so that I can stay on track to just crush my goals. I love that word, but crush my goals. I want to crush my goals. So what do I have to do this week? So that is what I have to do, and then the next week, I leave all those extra weeks open until I'm right there on the precipice of the new week. And again, that just gives you more power to make sure that you are being flexible, because that is another thing. If you aren't flexible with yourself and you fail to stick to a schedule, you're going to say, oh, I'm not good at keeping a schedule. When it takes practice, 1 and 2, we know that life happens, like I said. So, you can't just expect a schedule to stick itself. But anyway, so build that schedule, play with it. If you need help, any tools or tricks, let me know. I do have, if anybody's interested, let me know. But I do have a free printable. It is the Writer's Weekly Planner, which is essentially a lot like this. It's a condensed version of this layout where it gives you space to track your daily word count. I also have your daily priority there, and then I have this for all of us who know that you need that good physical health for optimal brain function, right? Again, geeky writer, but your daily exercise and your daily water, because that is so important to good brain health. So it has spaces for that too. And then of course, just notes, your goals, your weekly priorities. It's just something you can print off and keep at your desk. Again, if you do want the Ultimate Authorship Planner, this is an incredible tool. And again, for way less than what you would spend at Target. So here's our best-selling cover right here, the Ultimate Authorship Planner. My favorite, again, is this really, really light, pretty, feminine one. And it just has that prettier font, but there's so many things included in here. I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen, but one, it coaches you through the goal setting. So you can get really super clear on what you want out of your writing, just like we've been doing this work here and building that foundation. But it also gives you a place to track all of those little things, like your expenses. You're gonna have expenses. And at the end of the year, we're always in this rush to track down what all those expenses were and get them to the accountant. Well, with this, you can just hand this book over to your accountant and say, here you go. And it gives you a system for, keeping track of those expenses and those receipts. But anyway, and it also gives you a place to keep your story ideas, to keep your manuscript progress, to keep your marketing plan. So even if you're not ready to market, you can think about how you're going to build your audience so that when you launch or when you query agents, they can see that you have an audience. Because if you are going the traditional route, a lot of agents already want you to have an audience. That's a pretty big factor these days. Audience on social media, and email list, or something like that. So you can start thinking about that in here. We have a whole section dedicated to your social media planning. So if you're using social media to build your audience, or a newsletter, there's a whole section dedicated to newsletters, to blogging. There's so much in here. And Autumn has a copy, so hopefully she can tell you what she loves about it. But there's so much in here, monthly and quarterly reviews, so you're staying on top of your goals even as they evolve. So if month to month you can figure out what's going right and what needs to be improved. So anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this workshop. I can't wait to read your comments. I'm so sorry that it wasn't working this time, but I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help or provide any clarification or follow-up. I love doing this for you guys. And again, I want to empower all of you with these 5 things that have revolutionized the way I approach goal setting and how much I can accomplish. I can't believe everybody says to me, Audrey, how do you do so much? And I'm like, I have the right tools, right? I have the right tools. And that's why I created it, because there wasn't really anything else out there that gave you a place to keep everything, gave you an organized structure for approaching goals on a month-to-month basis and keeping track of your priorities. So I created what I couldn't find, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. But I really hope this training has helped you too. Go back and take notes if you have to, and again, tag me in any follow-up questions. All right, guys, thank you so much for attending. I hope you have a lovely, wonderful night, and let me know if I can be any help. Bye.